what's happening across the world is quite devastating. I guess whether it's UK or whether it's US, they are supporting their own population. And but I truly believe that that's the beauty of Dubai, where we understand that immigrants built this city and they respect that, they reciprocate that energy, and that's why we've created this beautiful environment over here. But in most countries, I feel like there is this whole A versus B situation, and immigrants are in a because see there's a whole mindset shift, right? Up to 5 years ago, people from Asia, Arab countries, their entire life purpose or goal was to go to the US or to the UK. But now they're being ousted out, and there is a mindset shift. So this entire series is revolving around relocation. So I've been into corporate relocation. So before I started this whole company, I was into corporate relocation. So if you check my LinkedIn profile, you'll find that I've relocated the CFO of Microsoft, the Roche Pharmaceuticals. So these were some examples, all Fortune 500 companies. So I'm going to now apply that. So anyone who's looking to relocate from, let's say, the UK or Europe, it's not just about real estate, how to set up a company, how to move bank accounts, how to move funds, what is happening in the UK. So today I have somebody who's lived 40 years in the UK and wants to show a very realistic picture of moving in with a family with kids. And us together, we're going to form this whole series about relocation. So over to you, Umar.
Thank you very much, Zohaib.
Was that a right introduction?
Yeah, that was perfect.
Okay.
That was perfect. Thank you very much, Zohaib, first of all, for inviting me and having me here. It's a pleasure. Like you touched on, absolutely, there is major issues with regards the second and the third generation of migrants that are living there. So mainly, for example, my parents, I'll give you my own example. My parents came over in the late 60s, early 70s, where at that time, a lot of people were coming over from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. And they were the people that were helping make that country. It was the Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
And because of the World War II, the actual British people, the British population went down a lot because they lost a lot of men in the war because of the fighting.
Yes.
And these countries that were up to bring people into, the options that were to bring people were the Commonwealth countries, which were India, Pakistan, and these countries, the British already ruled there.
True.
So they had a certain control. They knew how the system is there, and they understood the people and everything like that. So then my father came over, and along with my father's brother, his relatives, and before you know it, there was a lot of people, and they were specifically called over to help with the manual side of the work.
Understood.
There was no need for any professional. They weren't calling people over that were doctors or calling people over to do some kind of architecture or professional kind of work. It was mainly around that labor-orientated work.
Understood.
And that was taken up for many decades, where coal mining, steel works, the whole industrial revolution, manufacturing,
Yes.
in the car sector and things like that, in that industry. And people had that, that resilience, that hard working mentality.
Yes.
And they were really hard working.
Yes.
Not just mentally, they were physically hard working.
Yes.
Working in the steel.
Yes.
There's a well-known factory that's still going. It's called Courthouse in Derby, and it's all intense, hard labor work in very, very extreme temperatures where they're melting the steel and things like that.
Yes.
So they've seen back-breaking times, and they did it to get a better quality of life.
Yes.
Now, I recall a conversation when I was in my mid-20s. One of my uncles was sitting with my father, and he was mentioning the fact that, there will be a time that we will get kicked out of this country. There will be a time where we will get kicked out of the country.
In your mid-20s?
This was in my mid-20s.
Okay.
I'm 48 now, so I'm talking, over 20 years ago.
Right.
I can still remember this conversation because they were looking at, that uncle of mine was talking in the lines of the racism that was going on, with the white people, and it's not all the white people out here. It's just a certain category of people that were being very racist and things like that. Now, the person who actually made that comment, it now comes to me why he made that comment, because he said that it's not going to be that we're going to get kicked out of this country. It's going to be that we will leave ourselves with our own free will. 20, 25 years ago, it didn't register. It did not register.
If somebody asked me 5 years ago, see, for example, my brother-in-law, he was adamant he wants to study I sent him to London like 6 months ago, because everyone, that's the dream, right?
Yeah,
Going
go
to London,
get the best education and maybe get a job there or something and settle down. And
now that he went to London, like when I told him he come to Dubai, he's like, no, I want to go to London.
it's just that image that's being created. The thing is, yes, 20 years ago, even going back 15 years ago, it had worked. It was fine, and it had been working. You know, we have 3 generations there. My father came first, myself, and then I was born in the UK, and then my children were born in the UK as well. So there's 3 generations. There's some people that have 4 generations now.
Yes.
They have 4 generations. The thing is, I would say personally, growing up in the UK, after the millennium 2000, I feel there was a decline, and you could slowly see that snowball effect building up in what the government was doing, in their policies, in the fact how the economy was evolving as well, the cost of living and things like this. So that was all good 20, 25 years ago. Now it's not practical.
No, see, this new law that they've established, the non-domicile, that is a clear get out sign.
Yeah,
see, now
it's hitting people where it's hurting them.
That really hurts.
That really hurts.
Imagine someone like, let's say, Mittal, who has, so 100 million. Are you telling me that, okay, if something happens, he has to give 40 million to the government? 40 million to the government.
Million,
it's hard-earned money for the family.
It doesn't make sense. I was also looking a couple of days ago. They've introduced a new law which will be applicable from April 2026.
Right.
Because in the UK, the tax year starts from April.
Right.
So they're going to have it aligned with that, where, you know, like, for example, there's inheritance tax. If you pass away and you have a wealth, I think it's 400 or something, or maybe 350. I'm not 100% on that. But it's a threshold. If it's under that, then you got to pay 40% capital gains. Inheritance tax.
Yes.
So your funds go pay that. Now they're applying that same concept to people who have passed away, and then the business has to be handed over to the wife or to the children.
Yes.
So where the property inheritance tax has been in play for many years, now they're going to kick in the business inheritance tax as well. Now, when you're talking about business inheritance tax, you're not talking like a property in England, say, for about 250, 300,000, or an average property, a 3-bedroom. You're talking people with millions of pounds, you know, who have built a business over decades.
Yes.
And they started from scratch, you know, the sweat and blood that they've poured into that business, the struggles, you know, that they've seen from a point where they think that, you know, we've lost everything, and they've made it again, you know, turned things around. So only them people understand that, or their families understand, because a lot of people who are watching this can understand the fact that when you have a business, you have to put a lot of time into it. And sometimes you have to sacrifice that family time as well.
It's not sometimes.
Yeah.
It's what, 8:30 p.m. over here. You know, we are sacrificing family time, right?
Right, and that pain only those people can understand who have been through that building process of a business or a business empire. But it's all right when somebody can just click a finger and turn the tables around and say, right, okay, we'll have a certain percentage of that. Once you pass away, we'll have a certain percentage of that.
Why did you move 40 years in the UK, and then how did you just leave everything and just come to the UAE?
See, growing up in the UK was fine. I didn't really have any issues. But then again, saying that when you're growing up in the UK, you don't think or understand about the economy, you don't understand about the social issues, you don't understand about other problems, and you don't understand things. But what's happened is, in the UK, is as time has gone on, things have evolved and changed. not for the better,
Right.
but for the worse. I mean, the trend of people now moving to Dubai, UAE, has been probably happening from the UK side probably for the last 10 years, I would say, 10 to 8 years, and especially the last 3, 4, 5 years, there's more numbers coming in. But if you actually look, the actual British people, the actual English British people, native English people, they've been getting out of that country for years, but they've been going to Spain, which is like a 2 hour, 1.5 hour flight.
Right.
So it's easy access back to the UK to see family.
Mm-hmm.
And they've bought second homes there, around Marbella, places like that,
Right.
where they've got villas or they've got living in a gated community.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of like have been living a semi-retired life.
Right.
Now, obviously, things have changed in Europe as well.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Taxations,
Yes.
inheritance tax laws, property laws. So, people are just looking that, what, where should we go? Like, for example, you refer to me. I'll give you my own example. When me and my wife, we were sitting down and we actually drew a list. We actually put a line on an A4 paper. On one side, we wrote UAE
Okay.
/ Dubai.
Okay.
On the other side, we wrote England, where we were living, where we were both born and bred.
Right.
Like I said, we've got 3 generations there. And then the pros and the cons.
Understood.
And that is the actual practical way of doing it. When you can actually see it on paper, it's like, for example, if somebody says to you, you're a millionaire, right? Sometimes, okay, let me just check my bank statement. Oh my God, there's $4 million there. I am a
I
millionaire.
am. Yeah.
Sometimes you need that confirmation. And when it's on black and white, and then you're reading it, and then you're looking at each other and thinking, you know what, this is a no-brainer.
Understood.
Once you've identified that stage, then the next stage is to start to put mechanisms in place.
Understood.
So you can start to transition towards this. So you basically have this or any other particular environment as your end goal.
So the objective of this video is for us to help anyone out there to sort this mechanism out. But before I get into that, a very interesting aspect of Umar is that of this conversation is that people have this perception that Dubai is all expensive and cost of living is very high and it's hyped, it's fake. There's so much of. So another investor from the UK as well has informed me that Zohaib, you should show that side of Dubai.
Yes.
So it's beautiful how Umar moved into Ras Al Khaimah.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
He lives near the beach. There are malls nearby. He's got 2 daughters.
No, 1 boy, 1 girl.
One
What do
boy,
you mean? Yeah.
2 children. They go to school. They have a nice 3-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
So a very comfortable life.
Sorry, kids are also in a British curriculum school.
British. So that
So there's no compromise on the education.
So I want you to see, because I think when in all my years in corporate relocation, the most difficult part were the children.
Absolutely.
The emotional change of
Yeah.
the children, because adults, we adjust,
Yeah.
right? But children. So to explain, so moving, from UK, you caught a flight. How did you plan this whole? So you studied Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman, Ras Al Khaimah. You studied all of them?
Yeah. So basically, you'd be quite surprised. I suppose it depends on how an individual works himself.
Right.
I find that we did a lot of homework via YouTube, internet, social media, where we could kind of like identify or shortlist a location.
Right.
And everything is just an email away or a phone call away.
Correct.
So all the information regarding the schools, like for example, there's a government regulating department in Dubai. I think is the
KHDA.
KHD. Yeah, you can download a list of all the schools in Dubai,
Understood.
their fees, their structure, and their performance rating.
Yes.
So if you are looking for a school, and the thing is, sometimes you won't know until your child's in somewhere for maybe 6 months and you've paid that and you've relocated around the school and you're thinking, you know what, it's not to what we had expected. that gives you a very, very good indication of the standards that the government has ticked off for that school. It's same as the regulations set by Ofsted. So that's like for like. We have an Ofsted in UK where they physically come into the school, they look at the performance of the children, they look at the standards of the school, the standards of teaching,
Nice.
the quality of equipment given to the children to
Right.
utilize for their education. And then again, they produce a report that's, obviously publicly available. Same like which the Dubai government has done.
Well, yes. In fact, I don't know if have you ever been to this website called whichschooladvisor.com?
No, I haven't been to that one. No.
So that's like an IMDb of schools.
Right.
Where,
okay.
you can, parents give reviews.
Right.
And then, of course, the KHDA rating is also there. Outstanding, very good, poor,
yeah.
fair.
Yeah, fair.
And so the KHDA rating is there. You've got all the fees, structures, all of that. And then you've got the parents' reviews, pros and cons of each school.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's fantastic. So we use these tools to help relocate people, because I feel like when a family is relocating, I think one of the biggest concerns is school. And if you have a place to live near the school, that's one major issue sorted.
Yeah.
The next issue is the work.